Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, motherfuckers.
Okay, come in hot.
I just want to make sure that I don't sound exactly like I sounded or will sound on Thursday when I intro our other podcast.
Yeah, but for the other one, you sounded like the way you usually sound on this one.
So I got to mix it up so you're not confused. I'm keeping you on your toes. Welcome to Don't Blame Me. We are an advice podcast where we give life-changing, amazing, wonderful advice. My name is Meghan, and I'm joined by my co-host, the glitter glue, Melisa. Pew,
what
pew,
it do?
Pew, pew, pew. So if you are new here, we give wonderful advice. We are both philosophers. That's a callback to the last episode, if you listened. And we've decided to unburden ourselves and bestow our intelligence, beauty, grace, and brains, which is, I think, is intelligence, onto you. And we are going to solve all of your problems. We've already solved world hunger, cure for cancer. The patent is waiting. And now we're ready to move on to your lives.
And you said that last week there were people that commented, some modern day philosophers besides ourselves, of course. Who do we got?
We have Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I think word-wise, definitely. I think she's definitely a wordsmith. She's got a way with words, very poetic. I don't know if I would say philosopher.
I would say, for me, I would say country Taylor was a philosopher. I don't know if current Taylor is one.
Melisa is a love story stan. You're a big fan of country Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me to send you. She has one country, like very country song off of the last album.
You sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
I listened to it. I enjoyed it. You sent it to me. I didn't listen to it then, but then I happened upon it one time. It was just playing. I was like, oh, this is good. What is this? And then I realized it was what you had sent me.
Mott's loves that one too. Then we have one that I agree with wholeheartedly. Kylie Jenner. Because when Kylie Jenner said, this is the year of realizing to realize things about realizing, that made me realize things. It really just made me realize that I should realize things about realizing. Do you realize? So
next.
Then we have Maddie B, the child rapper. I respect your decision. Yeah, so
who is that though?
He's a child who raps on YouTube.
Like, what does he do? Is he white?
Of course he's white. He's a child rapper on YouTube named Maddie B.
I didn't know if he was just this generation's Lil Bow Wow and Lil Romeo.
Whoa. No. He thought, like, his parents definitely thought that, like, it was going to be an Usher, Justin Bieber discovering situation, and it was not. I don't even know if Maddie B ever made it on Ellen. And that is where, like, mediocre children go.
Ellen doesn't even make it on Ellen these days anymore, so.
True.
She has guest hosts all the time.
Dude,
she doesn't want to do it. She's just waiting it out till her contract is over with.
So, what's new with you?
Let's see. I'm cramping very much right now because last night I didn't realize I forgot to take my birth control until hours after because I was up late working, and then it was too late. And I also didn't take my allergy medicine, and because it's 24-hour allergy medicine, so I have to wait because I don't want to get off track. Mm-hmm. So I'm just a mess right now.
Oof, that's brutal.
Yep.
That is not a good combination.
Yeah. Yep.
I was going to say, I was so excited because for 2 whole days, like, I didn't bleed at all. I was like,
nice.
As somebody who's been on consistent birth control, and I'm not looking for anybody to give me advice about birth control or anything about my vagina and reproductive health. Like, no, this is not an invitation. I have been on it since August and just constantly spotting.
Yeah.
And there was 2 days where nothing. And like, you know, when you like check to see if you're spotting and you get up in there to be like, am I going to spot in 20 minutes? Am I going to spot in an hour? Like, you check. I was good to go. And I was like, this is the greatest day of my entire life. It was like, and I was so shocked because it was like so heavy. Like, I basically had a full period cramps like the week before. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And day before yesterday, just started spotting again. Back to the consistent normal.
You had 2 days of freedom.
But I was too nervous to like do anything with those days of freedom. So I was still wearing my fucking period underwear and still like, you know, I wasn't wearing a white dress and a thong. Like, I was being conservative and I missed my opportunity.
Well, you never know.
I'll deal. I've gotten so used to it. I'm just like, what the fuck ever. It's fine. We'll survive.
Yeah.
Right? If this is your first time here at the show, welcome. Take a seat. Kick back. Relax. This is an advice podcast where you call in, you leave us voicemails, and then we give you life-changing, wonderful, amazing advice. And the kicker is, as you can tell by the title, you can't blame us because we give advice the way that we want to receive advice. So if you let us know that you're a very sensitive Pisces, we will take that in mind. But if you are wrong, we have no problem telling you that, like, you done goofed, you fucked up, this is your bad. But we also are willing and able at the drop of a hat to tell you to dump your boyfriend if he's being a toxic piece of shit. So if you want to call us and leave us a voicemail, give us a ring-a-ding at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Got to keep it under 3 minutes. We ask that you write down everything that you're going to say, pull out your phone, time it out, see how long it takes you, and practice. Make sure you have all the information in there, ages, pronouns. It's anonymous, but all the pseudonyms of the people in there, making sure that it has as much detail as possible so we can give you the best advice possible. And if you get mad that we didn't psychically know something that you didn't say on the call, that's not our fault. That's your fault. If you don't include it in the call, we can't give advice on that portion of it.
And we're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt either.
So with that segue.
More on that later.
Truly. We can only go based off of what we have. So again, write it down, practice it, make sure that you're not missing any information. And then when you leave the voicemail or record the voice memo, read it. So you're not trying to think of things off of the top of your head, because that's how you will forget stuff. And that's how you get upset and angry when we give you advice that is pertaining to exactly what you said, because we didn't predict what you didn't say.
Mm-hmm.
We have an episode coming up with a guest, and we don't do a lot of guests since the pandemic, but this was someone that we could not say no to. Like, this is, yes, something we really want. And we want to solicit specific calls because it's something that we get calls on here occasionally, but we don't really answer them because neither of us have experience with this. So if you have any questions or you need advice regarding open relationships and polyamorous relationships,
non-monogamy as a whole,
yes, please send us a voicemail or a voice memo for an upcoming episode, and know that it will be the guest is somebody who can speak on that and will be able to help in a way that like we can't. So this is your opportunity and this is your chance. And if you don't submit and you have something to submit, when you see the guest on this podcast, you're going to be very disappointed that you didn't.
Also, preface when you call in or leave the voicemail, just say this is for the non-monogamous episode.
Perfect. So we don't have an update today unless they decide to show up. But if you're hearing this, that means they didn't decide to show up. So we don't have an update today. But that's okay because I have a really important question to ask Melisa.
Okay.
And I wrote this down to talk about with you. And you can, obviously I want you to think about it, but I want your initial reaction, like your initial answer. And then you can think about it if you want to change your answer.
That's really hard for me because I'm a thinker. So I will try as hard as possible. Okay.
Would you have sex with Jack Harlow?
No.
Why not?
He just gives me weird vibes. It's just something about him. Like, I don't understand. I've only seen him in snippets of what other people have posted of how like flirtatious he is with other people. I couldn't name one song. I couldn't sing one song by him. I don't know if he's a singer or rapper. Like, I don't know what he does, but I just don't trust people that flirt in the way that he does with everyone.
So I understand. I would like to have sex with his personality, like without a doubt, because that kind of like flirting, like I can bag anyone, like haha, like the bite the lip, like that, like here's the thing. Do I want to marry that? No. But like, would I enjoy taking that for a ride? Yes. But then I watched one of his music videos and I think...
What kind of music does he make?
He raps and he like does like a singy part of rapping too.
Okay.
He makes good music though. Like I enjoy his music, but I will say, I think I have found out that and this tracks for me. Like, and I've then started testing this theory. I don't like rappers. I don't like rappers for the sole reason that it gives me the biggest ick watching them lip sync to their songs in their music videos. I don't know what it is. And it's might be every musician out there. Like, I'm now recognizing like the Justin Bieber music video. I mean, I don't want to have sex with Justin Bieber. No offense, Justin Bieber, as if he cares.
They give the same vibe. Sorry.
I don't think that I am attracted to musicians because I cringe watching them like lip sync their songs and like dance around and like do whatever. And like, I think that's why I never thought Harry Styles was hot until I got on TikTok and people would just like make these edits of like him flirting and winking. And I was like, oh,
and see,
hot.
I don't like it. I don't like it. We've only, there's like two people that we agree upon.
Yeah.
And we have opposite taste for everyone else.
But I've discovered that I love that cockiness, confidence thing. So that's why I like athletes who are hot. But I do find a lot of athletes are like not super cute, but people just like them because they're athletes. And I was testing this theory and I was watching all of like the glamour, like relationship quizzes or whatever. And I've realized every guy that I'm like, I would date him. I like him. Athlete. Every guy that I was like, this is too like love of my life Instagram caption, like really in their feelingsy, like Pisces man. Musical artist. I like it's like the emotionally unavailable, like none of that vibe. And that's like, I was watching these clips of Jack Harlow flirting and I was like, for sure. Then I watched a music video of him and the pointing and the squatting and the lip syncing. And I was like, no, hard pass. But I can also just picture like, I know that they are playing that just from speakers. And I know that like they like pause the music and like he's still singing along. And then like he's singing and the music has stopped and they're like back to one. And he's like, oh, okay. And like starting over again. And like it just gives me the ick.
Okay.
But now I know neither of us are going to have sex with Jack Harlow.
We could.
We're not. We could. I think you would be. I don't think I would.
You're true. That's true.
No. I am not his type. I think he would have sex with you, not me. That's why it's hard if we ever compete. Not that we're going to, but like competing for, it would be simultaneously easy and hard because it'd be like, if you're into one, like we're so polar opposite, like type wise that like, maybe they'd sleep with both of us, but like, it would be a snap decision that I'm like, oh, that's all you. This is all
But
you.
the only person that we've ever actually wanted to fight over, then we saw more of their personality and then we were over it. So
Yeah, and we're very happy for him. It seems like he has found his perfect person, and turns out neither of that is us.
nope.
Let's get into the calls.
Hello, Meghan and Melisa. I am a 26-year-old female, she, her, and I've been dating a 30-year-old male, he, him, for about 5 years. Not about 5 years, 5 years. I'm a little tipsy, and I did not write this down, so I'm not getting a gold star. Just lose that expectation. Anyway, I basically need advice about an issue that I've been having with my partner. We're going to call him Phil. So Phil basically has broken trust with me by communicating with a girl via text behind my back. I caught him communicating with her, and basically it was just kind of like a hello, gorgeous kind of thing, like, hi, gorgeous, how are you doing? And I basically, lost my mind and forgave him and got back with him. Anyway, God, she's not cohesive. Anyway, I kind of explained to him that in order for me to rebuild trust, I just needed him to overly communicate with me for a while because it would make me feel comfortable. Tonight, he's out with his friends, and he hasn't communicated with me the entire time he's been out. I am mad. I am frustrated. I'm trying not to just angry text him, but I'm just disappointed because I thought that after breaking my trust in him, he would go that extra mile to make me feel more assured. So I guess what I need advice on is, should I just give up at this point? Am I barking up the wrong tree? I mean, it's 5 years in, so should I even be asking myself this? Any advice that you give me would be helpful. I hope this was not just a jumbled mess of nonsense, and I love you guys. Bye.
This sucks. My automatic thing and like my kind of rule with this is, if you are asking yourself if you should be done with something, you're done. Like, it's already there as a thought, like in your head. And this wasn't like, this is your response to then him, you setting the boundary, and then him and like what the expectation, and then him not meeting it. Then that wasn't your initial response when you saw the text message. It wasn't like, I'm just going to be done. Like, I'm just going to be done. Like, should I just be done with this? Like, you chose to forgive him and do all of this. And like, now this is kind of where you're at. I think this is hard because like, we like when people have a lot of information, write it down. So like, we don't know what his response was to that. Like, if he was apologetic, if he heard you, if he was the one who suggested communicating more, if like where his stance on this is and like how he's been since then. Because right now, all we know is what you've done and like what you felt and what you've said. So, I mean, I think that, first of all, texting just like a girl, like a random girl, like a girl hello, gorgeous, like that sounds like the letter, like the opening to like a Pretty Little Thing discount email. Like, hello, gorgeous, 15% off. Like, it's just like cringy and I'm not like saying that it's not bad. Like, it is bad. It's just like, I'm kind of looking at him like, ew, like cringy, gross, like weird.
Isn't that what I think Victoria's Secret, that's how they
literally,
hello,
gorgeous. Just like, ew, icky. But yeah, I think that like, if that was something that like he broke your trust by doing that, it seems like there's probably like a pattern here of this kind of stuff. And like the not being overly communicative when he's out is because you think he's doing something nefarious. And like, it sounds like right now what you feel like you have to do is kind of like stay on his ass and like track him and like handhold him on how to be like a good partner and do all of that shit and like kind of mommy him into it. And you don't have to do that. Like,
nor should you.
No, and like he should be the one, like after he broke your trust, he should be the one fixing it and like working that shit back. Like, you shouldn't have to keep tabs on him to make sure he's following through with what he said.
Yeah. First of all, like, why did he send this? Again, you, like Meghan said, you only gave us your side. Why did he send this message? What did he say after? What did he do after? Are there other messages? because this doesn't seem like this is something that's just a one-off. What was the conversation? What followed after the message happened? Also, you said that you forgive him, but you don't trust him. So what? I don't think you completely forgive him. Also, like, if he said he's going out with his friends and he's not texting you while he's being out, me as someone who is like, if I was in a relationship and someone was like, text me while you're out, I find that highly annoying. Like, if I'm out with my friends, I should be able to enjoy my friends, but he has broken your trust. Like, do you want to be in a relationship where he's out where you feel like he should be texting you while he's out? Like, that's the kind of relationship that you feel like you should be in. You feel like you should have to keep tabs on him. That just doesn't seem like, you guys either need to have like a full conversation about where you are in your relationship and what the expectations are, or don't be together, because it's not healthy for you to be questioning his every move. I'm not saying like that as a negative way towards you. I'm just saying, like, how can you be in a relationship where you have to constantly second guess where the other person is all the time? And I'm not saying that he's out doing anything, but like, they can't just like freely be out because you're at home or wherever you are questioning their every move. It's just not a good relationship. So you guys either need to have a conversation about this, maybe go to therapy, or end the relationship.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it just doesn't seem like this is not a hard thing for him to do, and like to communicate well. Like, he's out after like what has happened, and you having to keep tabs on someone to do something to earn your trust back, that they're not trying to earn your trust back. They want to do the least possible.
Yeah. And also, just because he's communicating with you while he's out doesn't mean he's not out doing untrustworthy things.
Exactly. Like, if he's not being proactive about the things that he can do to earn your trust back, and he's just like waiting for you to say what you want him to do, like, that is not somebody who I think is trustworthy or is trying. Like,
he could be out with another girl and texting you. So what does it, like, that doesn't, you don't trust him. So you have to either figure out a way to trust him or not be in this relationship.
Yeah. And trust is like, I think a lot of people think that like trust is kind of a blind thing, but it's not. Like, trust is an earned thing. And when you lose that trust, you have to earn it back. You don't earn it back by going back into those same situations or like trying to gain trust again by just those blind events. Like, you gain that back by going to therapy. You gain that back by like changing how you communicate. You go, and all of that has to come from him. Like, you have your needs, but like the proactiveness needs to come from his end, because that actually proves that there's been change there. Otherwise, yeah, he's just going to be out and texting you while hanging out with other girls because he's not trying to change. He's just doing whatever whatever you say that you want him to do to like keep up appearances. But I say out. I think that you know that too. Should we get into the next call?
Yeah.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. Hope you're having a great day. I need some advice. So I'm 22 years old, pronouns she, her. My wife is 24 years old, also pronouns she, her. We've been together for about 4 years and we've been married for about 6 months. Everything with us is amazing. I love her so much. She's great. The only issue that I'm facing is that my mother-in-law still doesn't know that we got married. My wife didn't feel comfortable telling her about it because in the past she's had some issues with her family not being understanding or accepting of her sexuality. And I can appreciate that. You know, I've also had some problems like that with my family in the past, but over the last few years, my parents have gotten better about being understanding about those things. And so it was easier for me to talk to them about this. Her mom does know, I believe, that we're together. Like, she doesn't just think that we're friends that live together, but in a way that's kind of unspoken. My issue is basically that I want to feel like I'm part of the family, and I can't be when they don't know that I married into the family. Her mom lives in a different country than us as well, so we don't really see her very often, but she's going to be coming over for a bit, and we're going to be, you know, spending time with her and doing things with her together. And then my wife and my mother-in-law are going to be taking a little trip together, which I wasn't invited on. And I can totally appreciate if the two of them just wanted some time, the two of them. But it would have felt nice to be invited. And I feel like if she knew that we were married, I would have been. I really just want to be part of this family, and I'm not allowed to be. My wife tries to keep me in the loop as much as she can about everything that's going on with her family, which I do appreciate. But it's like no one else in the family is including me. And I want that. I want that opportunity. So am I being unreasonable? Should there be like a time frame here where at some point my wife will have to tell her family? Like, I don't know how reasonable I'm being. I don't know what I should be asking for. Okay, any advice and opinions that you have are so much appreciated. Also, since I have a little bit of time left, I am a Virgo and my wife is a Taurus. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
Love the accent.
Love it.
This is hard. My initial reaction is, why do you want to be in this family? Because it doesn't, I'm just kind of confused about the relationship your wife has with her family, because it seems like there is one, but like you're just not a part of it. But in a sense, for like the reasoning behind it is the implication is that her family's homophobic, but she knows that you're dating, you're just not married. I would feel the exact same way about this. Like, I think that like your desire to be a part of the family and be included makes me feel like like your wife is involved with her family like a good amount, that you feel like there's something to be left out of. And that doesn't make sense to me for the reasoning why you are not being included. Is it kind of seems like a pseudo protecting you and her from them because they're homophobic, but they know that you're dating and she still has a relationship with them. And I would feel the exact same way. And like, I don't think it's fair or valid at all for people to be like, ask them to cut their like family off. Like that has to be a choice that person whose family it is like has to make. But yeah, I would ask for more clarity. Like, cause I would just be like, I'm just a little confused because like, I obviously like love you and I really care about you. And it really hurts to know that like your family doesn't know that like we're married. And I just feel like an outsider of this. And like, I just like, can I have some more insight as to like what the reasoning behind this is? Because it's really hard for me to understand that the reasoning behind it is that they're like homophobic, but like they know that we're together and like, if we're going to be together and we're married for the long term, like, I don't want you to cut off your parents, but like, I need to work on my relationship with them too, because like, we're both going to be around forever. And so how is this going to work? Because there is no relationship there right now. And like keeping that separate, that is not healthy for too long, like lifelong relationships you're having with both parties.
Yeah, I feel like this is actually a conversation y'all should have had before legalities were brought into the relationship, because this is clearly for your wife that this is not something that was a problem for them. Like they went into the marriage with the idea like we're going to be married in secret and you agreed to it. So now you're here where you are and now you feel like you're being left out of the family. You could give them the ultimatum, like you tell your parents or your family or I'm out. But also you already agreed to this. Like you signed the contract that this was what the relationship was going to be. I don't know if time is going to make it any better, because if they're homophobic, you've been married, you've been together and they know you're together. What does it matter if you tell them that you're married? So I think this is mainly a issue that your wife has. Like, what is it with your wife that does she feel like she's going to be disowned because, and also we're speaking as two straight people. So I do want to preface that. So, but like, what's it going to change? Like, what's it going to change as in your relationship?
Yeah, because that makes me worried about her. If she's trying to protect you from them being incredibly homophobic, like I can't imagine how draining that is for her to be in that situation while they're being homophobic to her and she's maintaining that relationship with them. And like, yes, is she going to be financially cut off, or is she in the process of making sure that both of you are financially independent so you don't rely on them for anything? And is she in the process of distancing herself from them? And this is like just taking a while, which is very valid and fair. But like, yeah, I think it's just like her wanting to protect you from them is like, I think a very noble and kind thing. But unless someone's protecting her from them, where does this end? At what point? Because like,
yeah, I think that she's saying that she's trying to protect you, but she's actually trying to protect herself and her relationship with them. So what are the steps that I mean, you're in this now. So I think having a clear conversation about what are the steps that you're taking for us to be seen as a unit and a family in your family's eyes. What are you doing?
Yeah, what's our plan?
Because if there's not a plan, then this is just how it's going to be. And you just have to accept that.
It's going to be indefinite. And I think that that would be ridiculously insensitive for her to ask of you just to do this forever. And I do agree that this should have been a conversation before you got married. But divorce exists for a reason and separate, like it does. But like, I think that like, there's no ultimatum to give her because you also understand that your family has come around. And I think that's probably a lot to do with like, I don't want to like not give your family credit for changing their mindset and their worldview. But like when families learn from their homophobia, yes, good on them, but like also good on like the queer and gay and LGBTQIA plus people in their lives who like helped that happen. And who like, whether that's like their actual kid or whether that's the people who wrote the books, the people who like wrote these articles to help them do that. And I'm assuming that's how your parents you've had a better relationship with them now and they've understood that more. There was work that was put in. And if you're also not being privy to the work that's being put in while you're not there, all of it is in everybody else's hands. And like, she can want to protect you from it. And she can say that she wants to do it all herself and she doesn't want to have you caught in the crossfire. But like, you are married. Like, you are like, if you are willing and able to be like, no, I am okay if they say some things that like hurt, but I want to be able to be there to like course correct and like help them the same way that you are doing this. And like, if that's the choice, like you just need to be able to have a voice and be involved and choose that. Like right now, it feels like she's sheltering you from something that you're not even 100% sure what that is. And then it just kind of feels like forever, which isn't fair. But yeah, I think that like, I understand her wanting to like go on that like vacation with just her mom. Like I would get that. I think that's valid and fair. But I think like all of the shit that's piled up and like the context to the situation, makes that feel like that's really hard. I don't think it's a time frame. I think it's actionable steps. What is happening? Explain this to me and like listen to what she has to say before you suggest solutions. Because I think if you can see that if she has been working towards something, what you can do to like contribute and tweak that, or if she hasn't at all, what do you want to do moving forward?
Because your needs and wants are important and valid too.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say it. You are both very young.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very young. And these are heavy, hard things to do, which is why I don't suggest getting married till you're at least 25 or later than that, just because it's a lot.
Yeah. All right. Time for a break.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry, I was yawning.
That's a nice little dance move though you did.
Thank you. As a white person, I'm very good at the sitting down dancing. It's because you can't tell that my body is flat as a board and my ass doesn't. It's my lower half that does fuck me up. So
you have rhythm though, so that counts.
Oh, I do.
But you also took dance for a long time.
I did. If I like came out of that with no rhythm, I would have been screwed. Yeah. Mott's has none.
Oh, I know. I've seen it.
It's so funny. I die. I love it.
All right.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. This might be a bit of an odd call since it's not about something currently happening in my life, but I feel like Meghan will have good advice and strong opinions on this. With Taylor's recent re-recording of her album Red and all this talk of age gap relationships and the power dynamic involved, it got me thinking, what if my future kid was involved in an age gap relationship and I obviously knew it wasn't healthy? Because I think if a parent tells their kid not to date someone, it just turns them into the kid being spiteful and dating that person anyways. Also, how would you as a potential parent approach the situation if your kid was the Taylor Swift versus the Jake Gyllenhaal in the relationship? I know none of us are parents, but I'm interested to hear your guys' perspective and advice on this. Thanks so much and love the podcast.
I think about this a lot. First of all, I want to say that I think there are many different ways that you can go about this. There's a wonderful Modern Family episode that like gets to my heart every fucking time where Haley is dating an older guy and Claire's thing is like, we can't pay it any attention. Like that'll just make her want to do it more. I know about pissing my dad off. And it has this wonderful heartfelt moment of Phil in an elevator delivering this monologue that makes me cry every time. It's so good. You can look up Phil Dunphy elevator and you should find it.
I feel like every episode now, because this is becoming a recurring thing that we bring up Modern Family. So
should we do a Modern Family podcast?
I would love to.
I would love that.
I would love to.
Is the world ready for our Rico opinions? I don't know. But here's the thing. I just want to say that anybody who's in an age gap relationship who is the younger person in that, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Sounds mean, but just like listen to what I'm saying. This is not a personal attack on you. For anyone who is the younger person in a big age gap relationship, my issues are never with you at all, at all, at all, at all. And you are not at fault. You are not responsible for defending your relationship at all. So please just know that and just like listen. But I think a lot of the time, and my friends who are in larger age gap relationships, they know why. Like they know what it is that led them to seek out or be someone who older men, specifically older men, were interested in. And it's not because they don't like guys their own age and it's all they like prefer guys who are like older and mature. It's usually people who were having to provide for their families at a very young age and needed security. It's sometimes people who did not have a good relationship with adults in their personal life. Like the biggest thing that you can do to kind of prevent that from happening, and this is again, not to say that everybody who's a part of these things has an unhealthy relationship with their parents, but having a good relationship with your parents and like older people in your life and seeing them not as peers, but as people that like you respect and people who respect you and care about you. That's really important. Making sure to the best of your ability that they are not like, I think about when I'm complimenting my kids in the future, I'm not going to tell my kids that they're mature as a compliment, because that is a compliment that's something that older men say to girls to make them feel special and make them feel like that. And I never want something that I have said that has been a praise to my kid to be then considered a praise when a romantic suitor says that to them. Like, I want there to be a clear distinction of that. And like what you what you value you bring to the table is like being your age is great and all of that. And then I think the number one thing is talking about it and like talking about like, if an older man is interested in you, that means he doesn't have anyone his age who's interested in him. Like, if you're like, that's just what it goes. And like, I've asked this on my Instagram before, and that the people who said that they never had any interest in older guys, I never had interest in guys who are exponentially older than me because without getting into detail, I saw this relationship in front of me and was like, I don't want that at all. Even though one party was telling me, you don't want this, but like you want the concept of this as a whole. The concept of this is great. And I was like, I don't trust a fucking word you say in general. And like, this gives me the ick. I don't like that. But that like people on my Instagram, when I asked this, they said the biggest thing that made them have no interest was like their moms specifically and their dads, like really early on told them like older men shouldn't be interested in you. Like that means that someone their own age is not wanting to date them. And like, that's gross. Like you're allowed to date boys your own age. Like, that's great, blah, blah, blah. But like pointing out when you see large age gaps, like on television and like making sure it's not, your children know that like that shouldn't be romanticized, because that's the issue is it's just normalized and romanticized everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And then people who want to defend these age gap relationships act like here's the thing. You know you're an exception to the rule, that your relationship is absolutely great. There is no power dynamics there. Both of you came from like really stable upbringings, and there is no like unresolved trauma. There's nothing that led you here besides pure love. But you are telling me that you're trying to destigmatize that, but you know you're the exception to the rule. Why do you want other girls to get into these relationships when you know that's not how 99.999% of them go?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. And like, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but when you try and normalize something that is already so fucking normalized and has so many like problematic instances and occurrences, that just like convinces people that they should hop into something that you like full well know is not successful or healthy most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. For you, it was like seeing firsthand. And for me, it was my parents leading by example. Like my parents are only a year apart. And then they would like openly see like other older boys maybe flirting with me and like shoot it down. And they would explain to me, I think if you're explaining why these things are wrong because of the power dynamic, it also like, it gives you that example that that's not something that you want. But also on top of that, which looking back, a little traumatizing, but my grandmother absolutely would always, like, this is the thing with, you know, people, a lot of times people romanticize their grandparents having age gap relationships. My grandparents, they were the same age, but my grandmother thought, and rightfully so, that all men were trash. And she like instilled that into me as a child, where like, you don't trust men. Like, this is not like, you have to have your own things. You don't need a man to protect you, or which is how a lot of people feel in these type of, this is somebody that's there to like take care of me and protect me. But she was always like, you need to have something that's always your own. That's where I got my saying, dick comes a dime a dozen, from her.
Yep.
So I just think like, you just have to be the example and tell the truth. Like, don't try to sugarcoat anything. I don't believe that like, you should talk to children as if they're people and not down to you. And when you talk to them as people, then they respect you more. And so if you talk to them, you know, of course, in an age appropriate way, explain how you see the world and how you view them and why you have those views without like demanding them and feeling like you need to like be the parent that is parenting them. Instead, you're being someone that's educating them. Then I think that they will listen and be more of a sponge as opposed to someone that's trying to defy you.
Yeah, because the rebellious nature also comes into play when you're not allowed to do something. And I think that like a lot of this also happened, we see with like large age gap relationships back in the day, was because you lived at home and you weren't moving out of your house until you got married. And so who you're getting married to is going to be an older guy. Yeah. And that's going to be your first dating experience, your first everything. So like, let your kids date. Let your kids date. Let your kids like date people their own age. Like, let them have safe sex. Like, have that conversation with them. Like, have those things, like obviously your own parenting and your own boundaries. But when you make something for, oh no, all of this stuff that you want to do, that's for adults. When they date an adult, that means it's for them. And they're going to seek that out.
Right. And it's not like you do this or else. It's you do this because, or you should do this because.
Yeah. And I think that like, it's one thing that and this is not an attack at all. And this happens to like, this is not like an everything, but a lot of my friends who didn't end up with guys who were older, but like, you know, had phases where they're dating older guys. It was my friends who didn't date a lot in high school. They didn't have a lot of conversations, even if it's not in the practicality of like, oh, you're dating someone your age. Let's talk about dating and sex. Let's talk about all of this. It was parents that were kind of just like, oh, well, you're not dating, so we're not going to talk about it. But like, it'll be good. Like, everything will be fine. And when you don't have something to compare it to, and you don't, if I personally find most people I know who have gotten attention from specifically heterosexual relationships, who've gotten attention from boys their age, then when older men were like into them, it was kind of like, ew, gross.
Yeah.
But when they can single out people who haven't necessarily had that and make them feel really special, you don't have something to compare it to. And I think parents can kind of think they're off the hook when their kid doesn't date in high school or their kid doesn't have any of that, that they're like, oh, I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But like, No, you still have to instill like and model what a healthy relationship looks like and point out when you see those things that aren't healthy and explain these things and like talk in hypotheticals about this stuff. So like your kid is like well armed to like and equipped to like go into the world and understand these things just because they haven't had practice or like you don't have to learn everything by participating in it. And I think that like that's something that I really hope that people teach their sons as well. That like that's something that like we need to teach everybody, that like relationships with other people is not figure it out as you go along. Like that's not it. Like we can spend the time educating and understanding interpersonal relationships and talking about them in hypotheticals. So you don't kind of just have to be a bomb going off and like disrupting people's lives and their relationships because you don't know how to date or how to be in a relationship. And so I think is when you let your kids do those things and have agency and ask questions and understand those things, they're less likely to trust a random adult telling them what the status quo is when their parent, who they love and really trust, has had those conversations with them prior.
Yeah. And I wanted to touch on what you said about the telling your kids they're mature. I remember when I was in 10th grade, I overheard my mom and her friend talking, and my mom's friend was like, Melissa probably has a boyfriend in college because she's so mature. And my mom shut it down real quick. She was like, what does a college student need with a 10th grader? Yep. Melissa's smarter than that. So
yeah, it's the same. I think of it in like obviously a much less like intense way, but in the same reason that like parents teaching proper anatomy to describe genitalia, because that helps children who have been in situations where might have been some non-consensual or any sort of touching or inappropriate behavior going on. They have the words and the explanation to tell you that. I think of that in the same way with like the word mature. Having the correct terminology there just makes your kid able to communicate with you better and then hears those words later down the road and has connotations to them.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then maybe it's just mandatory viewing of the All Too Well music video for children in schools. And you're like, this is not fun.
All right. Next call.
I'm Meghan and Melisa. I'm calling for advice about my relationship. I'm 18 years old, and I go by he, him, and my boyfriend is 21 years old, who also goes by he, him. We have known each other for about 5 months, and we became official about 3 months ago, and things could not have been going better. I'm the type of person to be very cautious when it comes to a relationship and try to take it very slow, but this one feels different. I could tell that we just work so well together and have an amazing connection. I truly think he is the love of my life, but I will bite my tongue on that because it's only been 3 months, and I am only 18. With that being said, we still have not had penetrative sex. We have done nearly everything but. At first, I was asking him many times over and over when things got hot and heavy to engage in anal, but always respected when he would say no. Because he is a bottom, he would use the excuse that his stomach was bothering him and he didn't feel sexy, which is completely valid. Come multiple times of us planning to have sex and him bailing last minute, I thought a conversation was necessary. Around our 2-month anniversary, I brought it up and assured him that I never want to pressure him into doing something he doesn't want to, and I do not want to make him feel guilty, but I needed answers as to why we haven't gone all the way yet. It was then that he told me he felt really insecure when it came to bottoming and wanted to start working on that for us and for our relationship, but he felt he couldn't because of his stomach issues. A few days after our 3-month anniversary, he was put on medication to treat IBS and had told me that it had been working so well, and he was very excited to have sex when he came back home from school that following weekend, aka last weekend. The day he got home, we tried anal foreplay, and he stopped me. We finished up sexy time without anal, and he wanted to have a conversation. He told me that he doesn't know, or he knows he's definitely not a top, but he doesn't know if he's a bottom either. He looked it up and found out that he might be something called a side, which is somebody who doesn't like giving or receiving anal in any form. But he doesn't know if this is because he had stomach issues his whole life and he's never been interested in bottoming, or because he actually doesn't like it. After telling me this, he asked me a very heavy question. He said, I will still actively try to figure out my meds and attempt anal, but if I can't provide that for you, is that a deal breaker in our relationship? I had never thought about that. My whole vision of sexual pleasure is deeply focused on penetrative sex. I had to think about it, and he started tearing up. And in that moment, I realized that I couldn't lose what we had over something as simple as sex. I need advice because I'm not sure if I'm making the right decision. I don't know if I could do that for the rest of my life if this goes as I want it to. I want things to work out as well as possible, but that means most likely giving up penetrative sex. Love you guys. Thank you for everything you do. Please help.
Wow. You get a diamond. That was very well thought out. And
Wonderful. I also love your voice.
Yeah.
I would love that in an audiobook. Oof. As someone with IBS, like, I really understand that. And I think that, like, obviously, again, we are two people without penises, I've never had anal. And I, without a doubt, like, if you didn't tell me that there is like a term for someone who like doesn't like giving or receiving anal, like the like anxiety that comes from like being someone who like whatever medical kind of thing that is. Like, I have like period trauma. Like, I have like that. And like also like the same thing when it comes to like, you know, IBS and that stuff. Like, that becomes like a deeply ingrained, like shameful kind of thing that the anxiety from it, I could completely understand if that's something that your body tenses up. Like, when you're anxious and you don't feel, and it has nothing to do with like you, caller, like, and like feeling safe and secure. It's like you don't trust your body. And that is like a very anxious feeling. And even when you're starting to take something or do something that's like, is starting to get better, you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And your body isn't like, oh, we're clear now. This is chill. This is awesome. Like, this is perfect. Like, it still has that kind of tenseness and that anxiety there. And then you have the mental aspect of that anxiety and that nerves and all of that I think that's there. But I think the biggest thing, like the most important thing is like, I think that regardless of like the reasoning behind it, he said that he wants to keep trying and like working on that. And he might decide that he doesn't want to keep trying and working on that. Like, he might be like, maybe I'll try in a couple years to do that again. But like, he might get fatigued of that and kind of reach his like exhaustion point of that. And that doesn't mean that it's never going to change. It could for a while. This sounds great, like on paper and the relationship, and like I can hear your happiness, like you're beaming talking about how you feel about him. But I think that you're not committing your life to him. And I think that like if you are right now are not willing to lose what you have for the potential that a couple years down the road, it might be a deal breaker for you. I think you just need to communicate that. You can say, you know what, right now it's not a deal breaker for me. I can't promise you that it's not going to be a deal breaker for me in 5 years. I really want to make this work. And right now, at this moment, this is something I can do. But I need to make sure that you know that, because in 5 years, let's say, it's not working. It's something that we've tabled for 5 years. And I realize that this is a deal breaker. That needs to be a conversation that you have now. But I don't think that you need to make decisions necessarily when you're 18
and 3 months in.
Yeah, to predict how you're going to feel in X amount of years. Like, I think you can operate on how you feel in the moment. You just have to let the other person know that that's what you're doing, and you can't guarantee that. And he might be like, you know what, if you can't if that can't be a guarantee, which to be fair, you can't really guarantee that with deal breakers in general, then he doesn't need to co-sign that. Like, he can be like, you know what, that's not going to work for me, but you know?
Yeah. And I think that's great advice. I think that's great advice for the caller. And then I kind of have advice more for the boyfriend. Maybe they can try, and this is just like them by themselves, since they don't know and they're still trying to figure out their body, to try when they're masturbating to incorporate finger play in their own masturbation and get kind of used to their body and trusting their body. So like using fingers, and then, you know, eventually moving up to toys, and then eventually, like, once they're comfortable with themselves, then having you come in and then try, like, before you try like full penetrative sex, try those same things. And then, you know, just slowly working up that trust and seeing how the medicine's doing, because the medicine might be great right now and not be great in the future. So just trying things and figuring out things, because your body changes all the time, and figuring out what you like, don't like, what you're comfortable with is going to continue to change. But you you need to know your body first before you introduce someone else into the equation.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's about figuring out, and he can either verbalize it to you or he can work on it and figure out himself what the specific issues are. Because like physically, if it's like discomfort and it's something that he wants to like work past, I mean, like going to a doctor, checking to see if you have hemorrhoids, checking to see if you've like torn, like, do you know what I mean? Like IBS can wreak havoc on your body. So like doing that, or if it's a mental thing and it's whatever his IBS has done for him that he's afraid of, you know, it being messy or whatever that is, kind of, if he hasn't unpacked that aspect of it and like pinpointing where it comes to his own anxieties and like the fears that he has versus like medical stuff. Because like you can go to a doctor, get medication for IBS and all of that stuff, but like you can like, again, you can like wreak havoc on your body. And like that, I'm not sure, I don't know if they do it for people with penises. Hold on.
What are you looking for?
Pelvic floor physical therapy.
Oh, there's anal physical therapy.
Yeah. So, but I know that they do that. They'll do like some butt stuff in that for people with vaginas too. But I think that like that is something that like could also be there for helpful for that. It's very okay when you have like any sort of chronic health issues to be like, my plate is full. I don't want to do this. Like I've had to deal with this so much. And this is one additional thing that this is like affected in my life. And like, I just don't want to deal with this right now or potentially ever. And that's also okay. But if it is something that he wants to like work on, not just for you, but like for him personally, I think, yeah, talking to different doctors who do different things to like check medically to see if there is anything there. And I would hope that, I don't know what city you're in, but if you're in a city where like disclosing your sexual like partners to like your doctor is something that like doesn't feel like safe or something, I'm sure that there are places you could look online for doctors that treat people in non-heterosexual relationships that is like much safer in that way. Because that's part of the reason why a lot of the times people, similarly to why women don't get diagnosed with endometriosis, people in same-sex relationships don't necessarily get the greatest healthcare because sometimes the doctors aren't safe.
Yeah. There's also, I think they're called sexophysical therapists. I saw an article on Goop. It wasn't on Goop, but they did an episode.
Melissa's a big Goop stan.
I saw an article about this thing that they did on Goop's thing, but it was very interesting where like in California, it's legal for these type of therapists to like touch you and help people through sexual trauma. And then during the pandemic, they had to like, because things weren't in person, they could go online and do it virtual. And because it was virtual, they're not touching people. So then they can talk to a lot of other people. I'll put a link in the show notes about what they actually do. And it might be something to look into too, because they help you get acquainted with your body.
Well, we hope that helped. Obviously, we can't share the personal aspects of this, but wishing you the best. And also, friends can also be the loves of your life. Like you can love someone so much like that. And like you can also just be like wonderful, amazing friends if the sexual compatibility doesn't work currently. So you don't have to say goodbye to them in your life fully if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But hoping for the best. And you sound so happy and that makes me happy.
Yeah, me too.
So,
all right. Time for Don't Blame Them.
There we go. It is time for Don't Blame Them. If you watched the Patreon video, you saw my face being like trying to read Melissa's mind, being like, I don't know what number we're on. So now it's time for Don't Blame Them. This is where one of you, our listeners, calls in with your own advice pertaining to a previous call on a previous episode. So maybe a personal experience, or there's something that we missed, or you just love the sound of your own voice and want to let us know. So take it away.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I was just calling for a Don't Blame Them about the girl who's obsessed with her boss. So this is also just a general PSA for anyone that loves their boss. Don't do it. This is yourself coming from the future in 2 years. Do not do it. Do not date that man. Listen to Meghan and Melisa. So I secretly dated my boss who was 13 years older than me for 2 years. So I was like 18 when we started dating. Yeah, don't do it to this girl. I know you say people around you don't know, like your boyfriend doesn't know you have a crush on him. No, he does. Like, and if he doesn't, he will very soon. When you obsessively talk about someone, even if you're just talking about work, people aren't stupid and they're going to pick up on it. That's what happened like 6 months before I even started dating my boss. I obsessively talked about him. It was just like in a work way, but my mom was like, I think you like infatuated with this man, you have a crush. And I was like, no, I do not. I think he's just like, you just like, oh, this person's like a really nice guy. Like, I just want to show him off. But trust me, do not do it. Like, it is not worth dating. For this older man, it is just like camp goggles, but for work, because you're like going through the same shit, especially in a restaurant and hospitality. It's shit. And it's just like the age doesn't feel different when you're going through that all together. And it's just, yeah, don't do it. If he likes you back, also red flag, run. Look at someone 11 years younger than you. Would you date them? I would hope not. Like, but it sounds like you've already distanced yourself from him because he's now promoted. So if he does, when he does come into the store, just you can give a quick smile, hi, but try to not talk to him. I think that's going to be your best bet. Obviously, like if you have any issues, go to your in-store boss, because it sounds like you don't really need to go to your general manager if he's managing all the stores. Like, you can go to the regular manager at your store, someone else. So just try not to talk to him as much. Listen to Meghan and Melisa. If you need therapy, I mean, we probably all need therapy, but yeah, go to therapy. Yeah, and if anyone needs validation, if you need validation for work, or talk about all the shitty things about restaurants or like customers, I will validate you. Get Meghan and Melisa to give you my Instagram, and I will tell you how proud I am of your work. Or you can just talk shit with me. We can do that. It'll be fun. Just live your best life. Anyone listening, young. Yeah, we're too young to be focusing on these older men. You want to live your hot girl summer, have your movie montage moment, you know, in movies when they show all the friends living, like having fun in the summer, like get stories, have your best life. Obviously be safe because COVID. But yeah, love you all. Please, please, please do not date your boss. Thank you.
A+.
She said it all. A++++++. There's nobody more passionate about anti-age gap relationships than people who have been in them and recovered from all of it. So, hell yes. Thank you so much. Saying it better than we ever could. So that is it for our episode. We hope you all enjoy. If you want to sign up for our Patreon, we have 2 different tiers. $1 a month, you can watch the video versions of the podcast. It's great. It's fun. And then $5 a month, you can come and join our live streams. We do twice a month. We have a great, fun time. Wonderful way to make friends during the pandemic. And it's a great way to help support our show. If you want to leave a review on the podcast app, go for it. And if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, leave us a voice memo at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, send us a voice memo at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Follow our Instagram, follow our individual ones.
For people that are leaving voice memos, can you please, before you save it, change it to an MP3? Thank you.
Got it. Melissa has a migraine, so everybody go send her well wishes on Instagram, even though this will be over a week since this has happened.
Hopefully it'll be done.
Hopefully it'll be done by then, but that's why I'm speaking fast on the outro so she can go to sleep. And that's it. We will see you all next time. Tune into our other podcast, But Am I Wrong? On Thursday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence. Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast. We bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Hey, are you ready for some real talk and some fantastic laughs? Join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
We're serving up 4 hilarious shows every week designed to entertain and engage and, possibly enrage you.
In Don't Blame Me, we dive deep into listeners' questions, offering advice that's funny, relatable, and real.
Whether you're dealing with relationship drama or you just need a friend's perspective, we've got you.
Then switch gears with But Am I Wrong, which is for listeners who didn't take our advice and want to know if they are the villains in the situation.
Plus, we share our hot takes on current events and present situations that we might even be wrong in our lives. Spoiler alert, we are actually quite literally never wrong.
But wait, there's more. Check out See You Next Tuesday, where we reveal the juicy results from our listener polls from But Am I Wrong?
And don't miss Fisting Friday, where we catch up, chat about pop culture, TV, and movies. It's the perfect way to kick off your weekend.
So if you're looking for a podcast that feels like a chat with your besties, listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.